almost done. So I came across this article in the Toronto Star last week, and it talked about how one of the biggest home builders in the country, in fact the biggest home builder in Canada, was cutting prices on their new home projects in Whitby, Ontario. It's just outside of Toronto. And the thing about the building and development industry is developers never cut their prices. That's blasphemy. So does this spell the beginning of the end of the Toronto real estate market? Stay tuned for more of that right after this. So almost 2 years ago was when I first started introducing the concept to you all that's called real estate drafting. You know, the video I did with Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder and a curly-haired Nicole Kidman. And it talked about how you should really be buying resale properties close by in a neighborhood where there's new pre-construction homes being developed and sold. There's usually a price difference or a delta between the new product and the stuff that's maybe slightly worn in. It basically talks about how developers are charging you an arm and a kidney for their new home project. But my, how times have changed once again. And if you had watched my video, then you would know what to do in 2018. But I found this article in the Toronto Star newspapers, right? There's actually some good information in these old scriptures. But basically the article just talked about how people were getting overly excited about pre-construction projects. And I've been saying this for many, many years now. When the market was always good and the demand for new home products was always so strong, you know, it made sense because they kept going up in value as people were speculating in the Toronto market, where people would routinely pay $100,000, maybe even $200,000 for a brand new home. Now sometimes it's because of all the marketing hype or the newness of the product or seemingly low supply of anything for sale. This article really focused on the fact that people kept thinking the market would continue to go up, and they were lining up for hours on end just to get a lottery ticket to be able to buy a new construction property. See, but the problem with that is builders are the market makers. They decide what the price is going to be depending on the amount of excitement or exuberance in the marketplace. Try negotiating with a developer in a pre-construction project. But in this article, it talked about Mattamy Homes, who is actually the largest home builder in Canada, had decided to start cutting their prices for this particular project in Whitby, Ontario. Cutting the prices? It would rather give you more incentives, offer more deals for you, like throw in a gift basket, a set of his and hers hand towels, or even a Metro Pass or two if you've been a good girl or a good boy. Now we know developers usually increase their price as the demand for home product gets stronger and stronger. But cutting the prices? No. Alright Pete, so get to the point. What does this mean and what does this mean to me as a potential buyer in this market? Well, first of all, Mattamy is one of those companies that can actually afford to cut their prices. But the reason why most typical developers will never touch their price points is because everything hinges and depends on what they've promised to sell. Once they set that price, it is literally set in stone because they need the financing to actually build out this project and to maintain the promise of returns that they've offered to their investors and bankers. So they must keep those numbers no matter what, win, lose, or die. Otherwise, they could get their money yanked and then the project becomes really That's the basic, simple explanation. And they mention it in the article itself that it's probably more of a business decision than it's really more about the economics and market conditions. They can probably afford to cut prices on projects so that they can move on to the next stage or to move on to another project. Because they can see that the market was softening from 2007 until early in 2018 right now, and they're probably projecting it to stay that way for the rest of the year. Canary in the coal mine. I got the black lung pop. And I always talk about it in my past videos that sometimes in frothy markets, it's not a good idea to be buying the most expensive or the newest and the best product out there because it puts you at risk. There's a lot of headwinds being in the front. These days it's a premium to buy new, obviously, but with all the regulatory changes and the softening in the market, it's really becoming clearer that I'm just a genius. And you really should be subscribing to my channel and watching more of my videos so that you know how to position yourself better no matter what the market is doing. And I've been giving this advice for over 2 years now, so you definitely should be checking out my past videos. Here's the one that I was talking about with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching. Happy Lunar New Year, everyone. 新年快樂，恭喜發財，財源廣進，生意興隆，快高長大。再見。